Lieutenant, I don't have time to deal with your bull. Now, those words of wisdom were spoken to me on, I think, day 3 when I checked into 3rd Battalion 1st Marines as their adjutant. You see, I was a fresh out of school boot lieutenant explaining to a gunnery sergeant with about 20 years experience how and why we were going to change the way we were doing accountability. However, in no uncertain terms, the gunnery sergeant quickly explained to me that he was not going to do this because first up, it was going to complicate his job, and his main priority, his number one job, was to be combat ready, and this didn't really have anything to do with it. And right there, gentlemen, is the first life lesson I took from the United States Marine Corps. Focus in on the essential. In life, there are only certain things that matter, a small percentage of things that yield you the bigger return. In fact, if you haven't heard of the Pareto principle, let me explain. The 20% that yields you the 80%, but even deeper than that, 20% of the 20%, the 4% that yields you the 64%, that's the deep Pareto principle. And this comes out of economics, but it's been shown in pretty much any industry, whether it be sales, whether it be in your family life. There are only a small number of things in life that really make the difference, that actually affect the performance, that are the things that if you don't get these things right, everything else is going to fail. In today's video, gents, I'm sharing with you the life lessons I learned in the United States Marine Corps. The next life lesson I learned in the Marines: take care of your body because it's the only one you have. Now, you can argue that a career in the Marine Corps will beat up your body, but overall, the day-to-day expectation is that you are spending 1 hour a day in the gym. Taking care of your body, PT is mandatory. Some of the best memories I have of Camp Pendleton, specifically Camp Horno, is going on runs with my unit right in the middle of the day. Seriously, if you wanted to spend an hour to 90 minutes in the gym, 1 to 2 p.m., no one batted an eye. As long as you got your job done, it was expected you kept your body in shape. Now, when it comes to my health, I'm the first to admit, for years, there were areas I was completely clueless about. One of them, your gut health. Well, gents, if you're looking for a supplement designed to support your gut, digestive, and immune health, look no further than today's sponsor, Ritual. Now, over the last couple of years, I've used and talked about their Essentials for Men multivitamin. Great product, highly recommended, and that's why I'm excited to talk about the launch of their newest product, Symbiotic Plus. With Symbiotic Plus, you get a daily prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplement designed specifically to support your gut, your digestive, and your immune health. So each capsule is designed with delayed release technology. This helps it reach your colon, not your stomach. And each biotic has a clinical study matched to the dose. Now, like all Ritual products, they're science-backed and research stacked. And in case you're unfamiliar with gut health, a prebiotic supports the growth and activity of beneficial bacteria living in the gut. Probiotics are live microorganisms and are included to relieve bloating, gas, and mild and occasional diarrhea. Postbiotics provide fuel to the cells that make up the gut lining and support gut barrier function. And what makes Ritual awesome? All of that's in a single capsule you take daily. No refrigeration needed. They taste great. They've got this minty taste. And like all Ritual products, formulated without GMOs, without major allergens, without animal products or artificial colors. Everything's traceable and they're vegan friendly. A subscription service with free shipping. Guys, Ritual makes it easy to take care of your gut health. I'm linking to Ritual down in the description of today's video with the best deal you're going to find on the web. The deal is not going to be around forever. You want to use that link, use the code RMRS20 to save 20% off your first order of Ritual. Again, gents, the Symbiotic Plus, awesome product. I've been using it, and check out their multivitamins for men. Absolutely a great product. I've been using this one for years. Highly recommended. Embrace the pain. An open secret in the United States Marine Corps is we are a bunch of masochists. Seriously, when I saw it for the first time in OCS, I was a bit dumbfounded. You had these prior enlisted Marines who were asking for more. Basically, they realized that the drill instructors, they kind of lost their power when you enjoyed the pain. When they were throwing stuff at you, you're like, okay, is that all you got? I want more. Now, obviously, there's a human limit to suffering, but Marines, it seemed like they're trying to find out what it is. And by doing this, they embrace the suck. They realize that, hey, if you approach this with a positive attitude, if you have fun with this, because you can't do anything about it, all of a sudden, you have strength, you have power, and you've got the right set of mind to be able to deal with, yeah, you're going to have to go through the quiggly. You're going to have to go under that water. It's freezing cold. You're going to be breaking ice, and you are not going to be dry for 3 days. Well, guess what? Hey, let's all just have a party. Now, personally, why this was such a powerful lesson for me is it created the habit of seeking out challenge and not being afraid of taking a choice of going down the path that, yeah, is not cushioned, is not maybe as sexy, is definitely not going to be more comfortable, but you know where you need to go. And you just accept the fact that there is going to be pain and suffering, especially if you want to achieve something great. You want to start a business? Okay, you're going to get close to bankruptcy. Maybe you're going to go through a bankruptcy. Guess what? You'll be able to survive, as many people have. If you want to go out there and do something great, you want to perform at a high level, you're an athlete, you realize you're going to have to go through those injuries. You're going to have to go through that pain. And when you embrace the pain, all of a sudden, it doesn't have power over you. Candidate, I don't give a why you're late. Don't do it again. Now, those inspiring words were spoken to me before I even went to OCS. The gunnery sergeant that was doing my paperwork, well, I was 30 minutes late because I had to drive an hour and a half through a thunderstorm on a motorcycle. And you know what? He did not care. And I have to admit, I was taken aback because that was a damn good excuse, except for the fact that that's all it was, an excuse. And up to that time, I had been able to get away with some pretty damn good excuses, but not in the Marine Corps. I learned that you're on time, or you are out. And that was a very valuable lesson that I've taken throughout the rest of my life. And I've just come to realize that if you find that you have a pattern of making excuses, you are the person late all the time. Understand, it's not the world's fault. Look at yourself in the mirror and come to the realization that it's probably yours. And the powerful thing about that is when you accept this, you can change it. St. Mattis Quantico, is that rust on that rifle? This unfortunate incident happened in the summer of 1997 while I was at OCS. It wasn't my rifle, but it was somebody close to me. And this was not the final inspection. This was one of the warm-up inspections. But that staff sergeant found rust on a rifle. And guess what? Every single rifle was cleaned up, was re-inspected. Everything was pulled out of the lockers. And strange enough, the person that had rust on the rifle also did not have their weapon on safe. This person, it was a complete mess and was within a couple weeks kicked out of OCS for being, well, let's just say it up. The lesson learned here is that little things matter. Why? Because they're indicators of bigger things. People ask, why do military men care so much about the shine of boots, about their uniforms, about all of these details? Because those details are bigger issues whenever it applies to weapons, or just simply your company. It can lead to millions of dollars lost. And that's the type of detail I learned. If I want to surround myself with people, make sure they're people that pay attention to the details, especially when lives are on the line. The more you sweat in training, the less you'll bleed in war. Unknown. I have no idea who said that one, but it was passed around and it was gospel and it made a lot of sense. And I saw it actually in action. My unit for 2 years trained up for combat. When we were put in that situation, we were a well-oiled machine. I have to say that for me, I was very happy that I wasn't one of the other units that I saw that was thrown together and was sent into harm's way. And guess what? They had casualties. Why? Because literally in one incident, they drove over people sleeping. Stupid things like that happen whenever you haven't trained together. Whenever you haven't learned what somebody who that is in the dark, you can tell because of the way they walk, the way that they move. And that happens with practice, putting in the effort. And how this is applied, throughout life, I've realized you've got to put in the work. You've got to put in the sessions. In the gym, you can read all the books you want about getting in shape, but until you go to the gym and you put in the effort, you put in that work, you're not going to see results. And there's other little things that you may not have even noticed. You got to eat certain types of food to actually be able to see results. I know for me, running for the years, this was something I didn't see the returns because I wasn't eating properly. And you start to put together and you realize that things are more complicated than they look from the outside. And that's what training, that's what putting in the sweat, that's what putting in the effort. Because when you show up on game day, guess what? You've earned it. You deserve it. You know that you're going to go out there and take it because you have worked harder than anyone else out there. Don't judge others based off appearance. You ever heard of the halo effect? It actually was known as the halo defect. A guy named Thorndike found this in military officers in the 1920s when they were evaluating and doing promotions. Guess what? If there was a picture and the officer looked the part, he actually looked like a good officer, then he was much more likely to get promoted than somebody that didn't look the part. They didn't have the visual inspection. And I saw this, we had officers, we had Marines that looked the part. They were tough looking. They just simply had the build versus officers maybe that were thinner, Marines that were skinny, that maybe had a little bit of weight on them. But guess what? The best Marines I ever met, the ones that were most competent at their jobs, did not necessarily look the part. And I learned it very quickly because we had an officer who will remain unnamed. The guy was a complete shitbird, yet he looked the part. And I saw this guy get promotions, and it was something that was an inside joke that, yeah, no one wants to be under his command because they're going to end up getting killed because the guy does not know his head from his ass, yet he looked the part. And again, we would see people default to looks and appearances. This happens everywhere in life. When you understand that, hey, people are lazy, that we make judgments based off little information. And that first judgment, that first decision, we want to stick with it. We want to think that we're right, and we will find evidence to reinforce that first decision until something catastrophic happens. Point being is, do not judge a book by its cover. You're going to still do it, but understand what's happening and try, not to judge people. Just simply take the time to get to know them. And even though I know I talk about style on this channel, talk about image and presentation, I hope that you just understand the reason I'm talking about this is so that you can use this to your advantage, so that you can dress the part and understand that most people are going to fall to that default. But when it comes to others, look beyond and really take the time to evaluate and understand who it is that you're working with and engaging with. Next up, let's talk about leading by example. And any Marine worth his salt knew I was going to throw this one in there. It's one of the first things they teach every single Marine. You don't just tell people what to do, you show them what to do. And you should be able to do it better than them. One thing I learned as a young officer, had this explained to me, is that you need to be in the best shape. You need to be hitting a 300 PFT, which is the perfect score, because you're going to have Marines that are badasses and they're going to look up to you. They've got 5 years on you and you're going to have to lead them. And they need to be inspired. You need to go in humble. You need to go in hot, though. You need to go in just simply in the best shape, prepared, and you need to be the first person there. You need to be the last person to lead. Because again, if you're going to demand 12 to 14 to sometimes, weeks to months at a time to, you guys over in the Army, and I know we got guys in various service. I mean, the Army would deploy for a year. So you need to be able to be the type of officer that's going to be out there and at the tip of the spear. Now, are you always going to be the guy, saying, hey, follow me? No, because you've got a job as a leader. But you understood that if need be, you knew how to operate every single weapon, and you had to put in the time, the effort. You had to be the one that went beyond, because when other people see that, it inspires them. And then a leader that inspires is one that cannot, he goes beyond. I mean, even if you fall, even if you're not there, other people pick up the colors and they go on. And this is one of the most powerful things. And again, you can't just know this, but you have to practice it. You've got to be the type of manager, you got to be the type of business owner that is willing to, we talk about the lion's share. You've heard this. Well, there's a reason that the lion gets the lion's share, because the lion protects the pride. And you've got to be that leader that is going to be the first one to say, you know what, I'm going to take the hit. I'm going to stand up for my people. I am going to take care of my people. And guess what? When you do that, they will take care of you. Now, for this next lesson, imagine that you're in this scenario. It is a laid back Sunday morning. You're in charge of the base. You are sitting there having a coffee, and all of a sudden you get a call in that somebody is shooting at the guards, and you can hear the gunfire. People are saying that they don't know where it's coming from. The guards at the back of the base are talking about it. The guards at the front entrance are talking about it. And you've got one reaction force. Where do you send them? Well, the answer is you don't just send them off right there. You calm down in the face of chaos with these incoming calls. One of the best lessons I learned about the Marine Corps is you stop first and think. Before you commit, before you go out there and take action, before you react, you need to understand what is truly going on. So the incident I'm talking about, well, there was a celebration going on. And you've got people locally who were just shooting into the air. They weren't shooting at the guards at all. Yet, guards in various situations, they reacted. They were thinking more tactical level. And what I learned in the Marine Corps is that if you're going to be in charge, especially of a company, if you're going to be in charge of, a family, you've got people that you are looking out for who immediately chaos erupts. And who knows what the situation could be, but you've got to be calm in the storm. You've got to I'm not saying don't act, but I am saying take a few breaths. Think before you jump in, because oftentimes people react in the wrong direction. They react when actually no action was needed to be taken. They react in the wrong way. They overreact to a situation that didn't need that type of, over the kill response. In summary, breathe, think, understand, and then quickly take action. Holy I am going to die. So that's pretty close to what I was telling myself when I went on my first 10-mile forced march. Now, I'd been on a 3-mile forced march. That one seemed pretty easy. I was a distance runner. The 6-mile forced march that we were warming up to, for we were going to do a 30-miler, that one was hard. But the 10-miler, I thought I was going to die. For some reason, it was faster. I had gotten saddled with some extra ammunition and weight, and my gosh, we were moving quick. And this was very hard on me. For some reason, I just wasn't feeling good, and I thought I was going to die. I thought, or at least I was going to fall out. You guys know what happens when you fall out. You corpsmen, you give us the silver bullet. Anyone that doesn't know what the silver bullet is, you can be enlightened down in the comments. If you know what that is, let me know. But yes, that was something I was not looking forward to. But all I thought about is, you know what? I just need to take 5 more steps. I just need to take 10 more steps. And I started just counting. I started focusing on what's in front of me. I went to another place. And that's one of the most powerful lessons I learned in the Marine Corps, is that what your mind tells you can do is very different from what your body can actually do. Anyone that's hit the wall running a marathon, anyone that's actually pushed themselves beyond what they thought they were capable knows what I'm talking about. And until you do it, you don't realize, wow, I was able to make it. I didn't quit. I didn't fall out. I didn't embarrass myself by getting, yes, the silver bullet. But what I did do is realize, you know what? I need to stop listening to this mind and how weak it is sometimes, and just simply throw one foot in front of the other and keep going. And that is life, is that sometimes you're going to get hit so hard. You are going to get the wind knocked out of you, and you just got to pick yourself up. You know you're going to start breathing here in a couple seconds, but keep going. Don't stop. Now, speaking of the mind, speaking of mindset, the next life lesson, and this one I'm dead serious on because it's so dangerous, and it's something that no one really seems to talk about. And that is, as men, it seems like a negative mental mindset can take a hold of us and just ruin our lives. It can ruin a relationship. It can lead to us doing something permanent and stupid. I'm talking about suicide. I know more Marines that have killed themselves than have died, it seems like, from all other causes. These are people that I served with. These are people that I'd be on a deployment. I had people kill themselves under my command on a deployment. And it's something that, you have to live with. And I don't know why. I don't even pretend to understand why people do this. But I'm saying, if you are ever considering this, if you're ever facing this demon, that you need to get help. You need to reach out. You're not weak. When you ask for help, that sends a signal to the world. You are not giving up. Don't give up on others. Don't give up on yourself. And be careful of those voices in your head. That, if someone were to tell you to jump off a cliff, would you do it? Probably not. And those voices, don't listen to them. Get outside of this. Get help. And just be very careful of that negative mental mindset that can sometimes take a hold of us. And on a more positive note, let's talk about how you can leverage the power of death, knowing that it's going to happen, to lead a more positive life. Because guess what? When you realize that you only have so much time, maybe 50 years, maybe 20 years, who knows? You could die tomorrow. And if you were to die tomorrow, what action would you take today? Who would you call to let them know that you love them? Why not call them today? If you do one thing, get on that phone, send somebody a text, let your brother know that you care about him, let your mom know that she is everything, let your wife know, let your girlfriend know that you care about them, let your son know that everything he does, even though you don't always approve of it, is just you love him no matter what. You can send out these messages, and guess what? The person receiving it feels great. You sending it out, that's what's most important. You feel great, because when you realize you've got very little time on this planet, you can measure it by hours, by days. All of a sudden, you can cut off the crap and you can focus in on what truly matters. You going after your goals, you going after your dreams, you having an impact, you going after what truly matters. You can take nothing else from this video, guys. Take that. Go out there and live your life like it's your last. Probably the greatest gift I took from the Marine Corps is knowing that life is limited, and that I am just so grateful so happy for this life and for the time I have left and for, you guys watching these videos and interacting. So gents, if you enjoyed today's video, let me know. Smash the like button. I really appreciate when you guys interact with these videos. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this video. No, a little bit different. I don't do many of these Marine Corps videos, but I love doing them. And if you want to watch another video in which I talk about lessons learned in the Marine Corps, guys, check it out right here. I made this a while back. It is a good one, a solid video talking about my Marine Corps. And again, guys, let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. I appreciate you. Take care.